Εγώ θέλω καταρχήν να ευχαριστήσω τους διοργανωτές. Έχω προετοιμάσει την ομιλία μου στα αγγλικά, οπότε δεν σας πειράζει. Dear Ambassador, distinguished guests, dear participants, first I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to participate in such an interesting conference whose conclusions we are looking forward to. Before elaborating on the port of Alexandroupolis, which is the main object, allow me to give you a brief factual overview, which will help you understand better both the role of shipping and the role of the supply chains, but most particularly the role of ports in the national economy. Ladies and gentlemen, for Greece, the strategic location of our ports make them unavoidably a hub for international transit trade. But which port in particular? Most of us, when talking about the Greek port system, we think mainly of the 10 big peripheral ports, or 12, if we consider both the ports of Piraeus and Thessaloniki, which already operate under concession with private investors. Greece, however, has more than 900 port facilities, of which 700 are active, plus 115 inhabited islands, both small and larger, on which 15% of the country's population resides. We are completely unaware, justifiably, I suppose, of this strong Greek port system, and we do so because so far nobody took seriously into consideration the extent to which ports impacts the country development. So what we have done, actually, for the very first time, we have secured a strategic funding from ESPA of 1 billion in order to provide quality and adequate connection between the islands and the mainland, as well the optimization of our ports so that they be rendered modern and more secure. Ladies and gentlemen, as you already know, the government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis, from the very first moment, attribute great importance to the evolution of the Greek ports, seeking to turn them into springboards of development for the regional and the national economy. It was in this context that we, as Minister of Shipping and Maritime Affairs, moved towards addressing pending issues such as the approval of the master plan of the Piraeus Port Authority, and by resolving cases connected to the necessary investment in Thessaloniki port. The next step was to explore all scenarios and possibilities for the rest of the bigger regional ports that will lead them to the next day and, of course, to the upward level. Owing to its geographical position, it connects the East and Mediterranean with Eastern Europe and the Balkan, and it's, of course, the port of Alexandroupolis. It is therefore, beyond the shadow of doubt, a getaway for those important geographical areas, and has a major geostrategic location. The port of Alexandroupolis itself has an advantage of crucial importance when it comes to land adequacy, providing the candidate investor with the opportunity to the multifaceted future business development, and it is strategically located in the northeastern part of the country, just in a short distance of 40 kilometers from the Turkish border and 165 kilometers from the borders of Bulgaria. It is also close to the Alexandroupolis airport and has an active railway connection. At the same time, a road connection project with the Egnatia Odos SA is ongoing, offering the possibilities for combined transport. The Trans-Adriatic Pipeline, the TAP, and the interconnector Greece-Bulgaria, IGB. Power lines also pass through the wider port area, while the LNG storage and regasification unit, the well-known as the FSRU unit, is of course in progress, thus making the port area ideal for the development of a logistics distribution node, but even the possible development of an energy node. For all these reasons, the US Pentagon chose this port of the Eastern Mediterranean for the transportation needs of the US Army from and to Eastern Europe. By that, the port of Alexandroupolis specializes more day by day in special transport needs, such as those of the military. The port, of course, of Alexandroupolis is therefore unavoidably causing the interest of large corporate groups that wish to take its control through international tender, and 4 large companies have already entered to the second phase of that tender. At this point, we are negotiating, actually Taipei is negotiating, with all the candidates the contractual text of all tenders, that it is the concession agreement, the contract of purchase and sale of shares, and the shareholders' contract. Upon completion of this phase, the project will enter its final stage for the submission of bids by potential investors, which is expected to be completed by the end of the first quarter of 2022. And then the next ports will follow. Actually, in 2022, we believe that the port of Volos will be on air. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, allow me to suggest the following. For the government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis, ports are not simply facilities for loading and unloading commodities, goods, embarking and disembarking people. They are growth drivers of our region, as they are historically closely connected to the urban nodes of the city in which they are located. They are growth drivers for the local communities, whatever that means for the resulting investments, employment opportunities, and their overall linkage with the local economies. This perception led us to the efficient decisions regarding the strategic planning of their utilization, decisions that were vindicated through the great interest that has already been expressed by important business groups. We therefore continue fully confident that the completion of these procedures for the major ports of our country, but also to the improvement and strengthening of the ports of our islands, contribute to the development of our country and ensure significant benefits for every local community, every local economy, every household, every citizen. Thank you very much for the attention and, of course, for the invitation.